Welcome back, everyone, to our final segment of this event, which is our panel discussion with our experts. It's going to be moderated by my colleague, George Ogwan, and I'll hand it over to him to continue with the session. George, welcome. I see our speakers joining in. Over to you, George.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session. My name is George Ogwang, a mortgage coordinator at Nairobi Representative Office. In this session, we'll have a panel discussion as part of the Home Buying Symposium. I'll be joined by a distinguished list of guests who are experts across the home buying process. First of all, I'll start with their introductions and brief description of what they do. First of all is Deborah Njoroge. Deborah Njoroge. She's a real estate agent with Knight Frank Kenya, which is one of the biggest real estate agencies in Kenya. She has expertise in helping members like you find potential homes and guiding members through the process of closing the deal. Then we have Monica Mwangi. She's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and she's also a partner at Mamecha and Company Advocates. Monica has very good expertise in helping members navigate through the legal process and protecting your interests as you sign the documents and contracts that are related to the property purchase. We then have Michael Otieno, who is from Kenya Valuers. Michael Otieno is good at making assessments of property values and helping you determine whether you're getting value for your money. Last but not least, we have Miriam Wahinya. As you buy a property, it is important that you protect it and protect your life. She will be helping us in this session with all the details that we need in protecting the house in terms of insurance and protecting your life, just in case something that is unforeseen happens. I'll start with the questions. Deborah, a lot of members keep asking us, especially the ones who come into the country for the first time, those who are not familiar with the country, with the terrain, with the different sections of the city and the counties where we finance property purchases. Where is the best place to buy a property in Nairobi?
Thank you, George, and thank you, everyone, for taking the time to be with us today. So for somebody who's looking to buy property in Kenya, based off of the 4 counties that we have been recommended by the UNFCU, so the first place would be the Nairobi County. Nairobi County, as you know, is the largest capital city of Nairobi, which is the capital city. It is a growing metropolis with a lot of great infrastructure ongoing right now. So if you want to be near the city, Nairobi would be the perfect place to buy property. And also within the Nairobi region, it is segmented into 2. If you're looking for great city views, you're looking to get like a condo, an apartment, that would be the best recommendation. And if you're looking for more greenery, a better lifestyle with a lot of greenery and trees, we are looking into controlled areas like the Kitusuru, the Runda, the Gigiri, the Nyari areas where you have a low density population. So it all varies with that. When we come to the Kajiado region, Kajiado is a scenic location located at the edge of Rift Valley, and I would recommend the Champagne Ridge region because it is known for its panoramic views of the Great Rift, and it is a great weekend destination and also a great destination home. It is located only a 2 hours drive from the Nairobi city center, and it is a quiet and very natural environment. And we still have a lot of indigenous Maasais within that area. When we look at the Kiambu County as well, Kiambu County is the second most largest populous county in Kenya after Nairobi. Kiambu previously was known for a lot of farming and farmland. So that area is still very green. And what we are seeing right now in terms of home property ownership is a lot of gated communities within that area. So you get two types of gated communities, a gated community where it is being developed by one developer and they control all the amenities and the style of housing are normally the same. Or you can get a gated community where you buy land or the land is already bought or the home is already there, but you have different types of housing and then you comply with the community guidelines of the gated community. Last but not least, which is the Machakos area. So I would recommend two areas in the Machakos County. We do have the Manzoni area, which is mostly a conservancy area. It has a lot of beautiful grassland and it is also known for its scenic views. So for Manzoni, it has a lot of game and wildlife within the area. So we don't have the big five within the area, but we do have animals like zebras, giraffes, impalas, and ostriches within the area. It is also a very controlled area to preserve the wildlife within the area. So to buy property in Manzoni, the controls currently that are ongoing, you only can buy land within 5 chunks of acres for every single person. So you're not very close to your neighbor. Within the same Manzoni area, you can find areas where you're not allowed to fence your home to continue with the preservation of the wildlife, but you're only allowed to do a barrier within only 1 acre just to continue with the preservation of the conservancy. Then last but not least, within the Machakos, I would also recommend the Mua Hills. Mua Hills is also very scenic, which is characterized by a lot of rolling hills. So it's very green with a lot of rolling hills. So within this area, it's known for a lot of hiking, nature walking, and bird watching. And it is also it's conveniently located just about a 40-minute drive from the Nairobi city center. So those are the areas that I would recommend for buying a home.
Thank you, Deborah. That's very insightful and very helpful. Clearly, you know the city, you know the country. Before I get to the next question, I'd like to remind the audience that this is a unique chance. It's never easy to get all these 4 experts in one place. So please place your questions in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer them just after the last question to my panelists. Next, Monica. Monica, as I mentioned, is an advocate of the High Court. She is an expert in real estate and property law in Kenya. And I'd like to get her to answer the first question, which I think is a very important question, which some of the most important laws that govern property purchase and ownership in Kenya.
Thank you, George. You're right, that's a very important question. So currently we have 3 laws that govern properties in Kenya. We have the Land Registration Act, the Land Act, and a recent one, the Sectional Properties Act. Before this act, we had 4 other acts that have since been repealed. However, the repealed acts remain very relevant and applicable. The reason being, number one, we are still in transition. And the second thing being that we still have quite a number of titles, especially in Nairobi, because Nairobi was the first place that titles were issued that are still governed by the old repealed laws. So a lawyer, by looking at the title, is able to tell what exact law will govern that transaction. And that informs how we'll negotiate with the vendor, the documents we'll be asking for, how to conduct our due diligence. So I would recommend that the first step is once you're interested in the property and you get a copy of the title, engage a lawyer so they look at the title and they're able to tell you this title is under this regime and this is how we are going to go about it. There are titles that are supposed to transition to the new laws through a process that's called conversion. So when you're getting this property, we'll guide you, this property needs to be updated. It's in the old regime. There are also other titles that need to be surrendered and sectional titles to be issued instead. We also advise on this. There are also titles that will still be transacted on using the repealed laws. It doesn't mean they're invalid. You'll still be able to acquire them, but there's a process to this where you engage the registry to get an approval for manual registration. We also guide on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica. That's very, very helpful and insightful. I will come back to you with other questions related to the law and property purchases. But before then, Michael, valuation, it's a very important process. It comes after, well, let's say Caroline has reviewed your mortgage and you've been pre-approved. And before that, Deborah has shown your property and you've liked it. Now it's time for Michael to do an assessment of the property. So could you tell us what happens at the stage of valuation?
Thank you very much, George, and to the members who have joined us today. Valuation is twofold. I'll make it very simple. And it's also sort of a rubber stamp for a mortgage. So once we get instructions from the UNFCU, we have two sorts of due diligence that we do. So the first one is regarding the paperwork. So once we get instructions, we get a copy of the title. And luckily from experience and properties in Nairobi being very well surveyed, we get a map from the Survey of Kenya and we're able to look at some of the things we need to know before we get to site. We're able to identify properties remotely when you're still in the office, which is also very important. And of course, there are areas that we know are prone to maybe flooding, being in a riparian area, being in legally, if they're not legally acquired. And we look at all those reports, which were very well documented in Kenya. And if we give it a clean bill of health, then we plan for the physical inspection, which takes maybe a day after the instruction. So we organize access to the property, and then we have to do a physical inspection of the property. So once we go to the property, we make sure we do a physical inspection of the building. For this purpose, I'll tailor it to UNFCU because it has to be a house. Then we'll look at the physical features of the property. We'll inspect it physically. We'll take internal and external measurements, and we'll note anything that we don't find in place, including if the property is properly surveyed. We are not land surveyors, but if we notice that there's a bit of discrepancy, then we'll also note that in our valuation report. So it's quite comprehensive in terms of what the union needs to know and also the potential buyer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. Just to follow up on that, our members and the UNFC as a credit union, we are very conscious about time. So would you briefly just let us know, for example, if you received valuation instructions on a Monday, when should the member and the credit union expect you to finalize a report if everything went well?
Thank you, Judge. Once again, it's good you mentioned if everything goes well, because we have external documents that we rely on to get to valuation. So first of all, it's a title search, and just as Monica has mentioned, most of the titles now have been converted to. There's a conversion process in most of the properties in Nairobi at the moment. So searches have become a bit easier because now it's digital, and we just get a prompt to the seller and they'd approve, and then we get the search within a day. And then getting a map from the Survey of Kenya will also take the same day. So I'd give a 4 working days time period. So if we get a valuation instruction on Monday, then we supposed to close based on our SLA and also our internal processes. We're supposed to finish the report by Thursday, close of business. So in the event that you're not able to do the same, in case we are facing delays and challenges in securing a search, or even sometimes we don't have access to the site, then we write to the union and also make sure the member is in copy so that at least everyone is able to plan accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So back to Monica, and still on the same topic of time. without any unforeseen delays. If you received instructions from UNFCU to complete the security documentation for a member, let's say it's a purchase of a house, direct purchase, how long should the member expect the conveyancing process to take?
Thank you, George. And I am glad you said without any unforeseen delays, because sometimes things happen that are beyond our control. So what we recommend is get into a contract that gives you a period of 90 days to complete the transaction. And also make sure some of these applications are running at the same time. So your loan approval is happening, immediately after that, valuation is happening, and by then you must have engaged a lawyer because of the due diligence process and the contract part. But when the security perfection process means that we have started the registration process, which means we are at that point transferring ownership to the purchaser and also creating a security in favor of UNFCU. That period takes anything between 30 days and above. If it's an online application, this is fast. The system is working on very well. Everyone is used to it by now. So those kind of applications, you're able to finish within 30 days. For the registries in Kiambu, the ones that you mentioned, you also finance, those ones are also pretty straightforward. You're able to finish within 30 days. When you're buying from a developer, that one sometimes becomes a bit lengthy because, and Carol mentioned that you pay legal fees to the developers' advocates because they're the ones who will handle the registration process. So sometimes this takes a bit longer, and it could go between 30 to 90 days. So there's no specific timeline, but for straightforward transactions, you're able to close within 30 days. And that's the registration process. It also means that the borrower needs to also be ready to sign documents when they're available, ready to pay stamp duty when it's called for it, ready to coordinate and work with the advocates on all the steps that are required from their end. So you have to really coordinate with us to make sure this process is running smoothly. But 30 days and above.
Thank you, Monica. I'll now come to Marianne. So the member is very happy they found a house. The mortgage has been approved. Now they're required to take up two covers. One is for the mortgage and one is for the house. Could you please let the members know why exactly they're required to take up insurance covers?
Okay, thank you, George, and welcome everyone who has joined the session. Allow me to take you through, as mentioned by George, the mortgage protection, which is the life insurance, and the property protection, which is the property insurance. So for the mortgage insurance, we start with death and disability. How this works is in the event that the loanee passes on or gets a permanent and total disability, we as Jubilee Insurance come in and say, instead of extending a burden, as mentioned by Carol, to your loved ones, we are coming in to say that we will pay the outstanding loan balance to UNFCU to cater for your outstanding loan balance so that your family does not have to go through the burden of having to repay this loan of acquiring the property on your behalf. We have also extended not only death and disability benefit, but a funeral benefit. How this works is, in the event that the loanee has passed on, we're coming in as Jubilee Insurance, saying that instead of having to also, as you're grieving, have to look for means of paying for the funeral expenses, we're coming in as Jubilee saying we're going to pay a USD of 1,000 to cater for the funeral expenses. Another thing we're saying, we have also extended a critical illness benefit. Critical illnesses includes heart attack, blindness, stroke. So we're coming in as Jubilee Insurance saying we're going to cater 30% of the outstanding loan balance to cater for the critical illness of this loanee, because sometimes we do not foresee a critical illness happening. So we are saying we want to extend this benefit just to ensure that if this critical illness happens to the loanee, we want to secure them and their family. And then we've also extended a retrenchment benefit under the mortgage package, where we are saying we will repay up to 9 months of this loan. Okay. So we're coming in saying, retrenchment happens, unforeseen circumstances. So we're coming in saying 9 months we will do the repayment. Okay. So that is the mortgage package. So now coming to the property insurance package, where we are saying we want to not only secure the life, but we're also securing the property. So the first benefit that we extend as Jubilee Insurance is the building insurance, where we are coming in and saying, in the unforeseen circumstance, like Carol mentioned, where there was floods that happened unforeseeingly in Kenya, we are coming in as an insurance institution saying we're gonna secure the building, be it a fire that has happened to the property that you acquire, be it a storm, a flood, these unforeseen circumstances. We are coming in and saying we will secure you based off the loan amount and how we calculate it per se. Not only are we extending our building insurance, but we're also extending within, like, the contents within the building, where we are saying, okay, we are securing the building itself, but what are the contents inside the building, such as furniture, such as, electronics, clothing. We're also coming in as an insurance company and saying we are going to secure whatever is within the building so long as you've declared it. And then not only those two, but we're also extending all risks cover, where we're saying this is portable items such as mobiles, camera, laptops. These are foreseen things that are, they can easily get affected. So we're coming in as an insurance company saying, declare it, we will secure it. So not only that, but we're also extending a personal liability cover. How this works is we're saying in the event that an accidental injury or a damage of, something for a third party happens, we'll come as an insurance company saying we're gonna cater for that so long as it has been declared. And then we also extend this cover optional, saying domestic workers sometimes could be affected. We're talking about the help, sometimes could be affected. So as an insurance company, we're saying that in the event that this domestic worker has been affected, we will come in and cater for medical expenses so long as you have declared. And finally, we're saying in the event of any break-ins in your household, we'll come up as an insurance company and say we will cater for such break-ins and circumstances like that. So George, I will extend this by saying as Jubilee Insurance, we are here to secure you. So feel very secured knowing that when you obtain this property, we as Jubilee Insurance have secured your property. Thank you.
That was very insightful, Marianne. I'll go back to Deborah. There's a lot of construction going on in Nairobi. When you drive around Westlands, Kilimani, Kileleshwa, Lavington, you'll find a lot of new buildings coming up. I'm sure you've been to a lot of these buildings and you can compare them to what was being constructed 5 or 10 years ago. What are some of the new trends that you can see when you visit these new properties? It could be the amenities, it could be the arrangement, the sizes. What are the trends that you're seeing, especially with the new developments that are coming up all over the city?
Thank you so much, George, for that question. So yes, Nairobi, I would say, is a construction site right now. There's a lot of development ongoing. I would start by saying the key trends that we've seen is that previously we were seeing very low level buildings where you would find maximum 5 floors. And the law of Kenya is that anything that you build more than 5 floors, you need to incorporate a lift. So a lot of developers were shying off from building more than 5 floors. So we are seeing a lot of low-level buildings, but right now we are seeing approvals of buildings going up to 30 floors. So we are seeing higher and higher buildings. Secondly, we are seeing a lot of need for changes in amenities. Previously, the standard amenities used to be a gym and a swimming pool. Right now, we are seeing infinity rooftop swimming pools, which are heated, which is now becoming the new trend. We are seeing a trend in having a small restaurant or coffee place in apartment buildings. We are seeing also an increasing trend of having sky gardens, social halls within different places. And moving away from the apartments, in terms of homes, we are seeing a lot of need for gated communities. There is a huge demand and growing increase in gated communities, and also master plan cities like Tatu City, Northlands, and Tilisi, which are also upcoming within the Nairobi and Kiambu region. So those are the trends that we are seeing currently.
Thank you very much, Deborah. I'm sure you had more to tell us. I see you normally give us reports quarterly. Maybe one of these days we'll ask our members to go deeper, because there's a lot you can learn about Nairobi. Other than just the 20 minutes that she's given us a brief, but very good brief anyway. I'll come to Michael once again. What are the data sources that you refer to when you are arriving at a value for a house? For example, I'm buying a house at for 20 million in Westlands. How do you arrive at an open market value for that property, and other values such as insurance values and for sale values?
Thank you, Judge. Thank you very much for the question. We have very many methods of undertaking evaluation for a property. I'll just go through them quickly. One is cost approach, the second is comparables approach, and the third one is income approach. But for purposes of buying a home, we usually use comparables, sales comparables approach. And sometimes we use a blend of comparables and cost approach. For example, if you're buying a standalone house in Runda and we don't have sufficient data for comparables, then we'll use comparables in terms of likes for likes. Then we'll use comparables approach for land and cost approach for building. So we look at the building. If it's a new building, if it's an old building, then we know how to depreciate it. That's something that we gain by training. Then we apply appropriately. So if you're buying an apartment, then in various areas, because we're also agents and we have some of this data from the comparable sales, then we apply a per square foot purchase price, call it value per square foot, and we apply that and support it with our data, and also look at all the approaches. Sorry, I think you have to repeat the second question.
I think you've covered. We were just trying to find out
Okay.
or have an understanding of how the values are arrived at. But I think you've covered it well.
Oh, sorry, I thought there's a back end to it that I didn't answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's fine. So I will come back to Monica once again. We have a lot of members who are interested in buying properties, but they're outside the country. Some of them are inside this session. The question is, do they have to be in Kenya to complete a property purchase?
No, they don't have to be in Kenya. I think in 2025, you don't have to be in the place where you're buying the property to buy the property. And we have technology now, we have proper courier services that can help you do this. So what we do is we write a very detailed email telling you how to sign the documents. So currently there are documents that you can sign digitally and they will be binding documents. However, we are still in transition and there are documents that you must sign physically and a wet signature is required. These are specifically documents that will be submitted to the registry for registration, the transfer, and the security documents that we create in favor of UNFCU. But not to worry, what we do is we send these documents to you on email with steps on how to print on your end. And because you're not signing these documents in the country, you might need to sign them in the presence of a notary public, which I think is a service that's accessible to most people. Once these documents have been notarized, I believe right now most courier services are very reliable and they're able to send the documents back to us in 2 to 3 days. So you just courier the documents and we'll provide our physical address. This has worked in the past, it's still working, and I believe it will work even for the members who are coming in.
Thank you. Deborah, we were speaking about a lot of properties that are still under construction. I know some of our members have visited these properties and they ask themselves, is it safe to buy properties that are still off plan?
Thank you so much, George. So I will start by saying, yes, it is safe to buy off plan, very much so. The only thing that you need to do is do the due diligence for the developer. So I would start by saying that a leader is only as good as their team. So when you're coming to off-plan developers who are doing it, you first look at the team who is surrounding the developer. Before going to the history, we come and look at who is the architect, because they will need to give out their certificate from the architect once the building is complete. We go and reference back to the architect. Who is this architect? Are they a registered architect? What other buildings have they done? Then you go back to the structural team, which is a structural engineer, the same thing. Confirm if this structural engineer is a registered engineer, and there is an online platform where you can be able to check that. Thirdly, I would say someone who's very important in this process would be the lawyer. Who is the representative lawyer of the developer? Do they know this project? What documentations do they have about this project? You can get a deeper dive into the documentation of the developer from the lawyer. Another thing which I feel also people overlook is that, does the developer have a current office within the current county or country which they're stationed in? Are they operating purely online, or is there somewhere you can physically go and find this developer? Yeah. So these are some of the things that we look at when you're doing due diligence for the developers.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Now I'll come back again to Michael. Now you have presented a report, and a lot of our members, just like myself, are very thorough when we are reviewing documents. Now, if I may ask, what are the top 5 things I should look out for in a valuation report that you've done? There's a lot of information in a valuation report, but just briefly, you could just mention them, or 1 or 2 words, but what are the 5 things I should look out for when a report is presented to me?
Thank you, George. I think the first thing to look at, and the most critical maybe, is the title search, because you'll be able to see if the title has been charged before, if there's a caution on it, if there are any disputes in terms of the title. Number 2, you'll have to look at some of the reports we look at in terms of the Ndongo Land Report. This is a report that lists all the properties in Nairobi that and countrywide that were not legally acquired. Maybe they belonged to a corporation that, for example, I'll give an example, like Kenya Railways, which we know most of the properties were not legally acquired. Number 3, in a valuation report, you look at the methodology that has been used. If you're given sufficient information in terms of comparables. Number 4, I'd look at also the rates and the rent that we have to attach to the valuation reports. and see if they have been paid. Right now, for maybe sectional properties like apartments, that will be controlled by the holding company, that is the managing company. Number 5, what would I look at? If there are any issues in terms of the survey map, if there are any encroachments in terms of boundaries and all that. We are not trying to do that as values, but we'll give recommendation because, first of all, as I said, before you go to site, you look at the properties on Google Earth, and we are trained to measure, and when we go to site, then we have to relate to what we are looking at online vis-a-vis what we have seen on the ground. So if we see any discrepancies, then we have to note that. It's a very rare occurrence, but it has happened before. So it's always good to be very careful because property can be presented as half an acre, but on ground there are few encroachments that have happened. So land surveyor has to come in and give an independent report based on our recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Marianne, it is said that you never know you needed insurance until you need it. Now, in the unfortunate event, God forbid, I bought a house, let's say in Rwanda, and it's burnt down or it's been affected by flooding. Could you take us through the process of filing a claim and what timelines are we looking at before we get the funds to start the repairs or the funds to purchase another property of the same value? Briefly,
Okay.
in about 1 minute, we only have time for just one question. Yes.
Not a problem, George. So in the event that unforeseen circumstances, like as George mentioned, your house gets flooded or even your life gets, you pass on, please let UNFCU know. Because UNFCU is the only way for Jubilee to know that an unforeseen circumstance has happened. So the first step is your beneficiary or yourself should let UNFCU know. Then UNFCU will now extend that information to Jubilee. I will mention that we do have a wide team of claims people, whereby we are saying we will guide you through the process. So once Jubilee is aware, we will guide you through the documentation required. So once you share the documentation, because we will send you an FCU who already have your documentation, they will provide it to us. Then we must analyze the claim. Just an analysis just to see like indeed this has happened. I mean, then again, we're a company, we're a stable company, and this process must happen. So after analyzing, we will then extend and pay the claim. So ideally, I can even mention we have not paid any claim. So all claims have been payable from UNFCU. So analysis should not scare you saying that we will not pay the claim. We will pay the claim. So just notify UNFCU, will notify us, we will analyze the claim, and then we'll settle the claim. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been really, really interesting. I wish we had time for more questions from the panelists, but not to worry, the audience have a lot of questions from on their side. Let me just go through them and we can start answering them. You can see the first one is, can UN staff rent in Karen? Let me take this. So for Kenya mortgage, for the purchase, you can buy in Karen. Karen is within the eligible areas. Now, when it comes to renting, you may need to consult UNDSS if you're in Nairobi, or the Department of Security Services for United Nations office in Nairobi in terms of renting, because as far as I know, they do some checks on the properties that you are renting. Another question.
George, can I come in on that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. I would like to confirm, yes, the UN staff can can rent in Karen. We have a number of people who are living in the UN. So the only thing is to confirm if the property is UN security certified. And then once that is done, you have a go ahead to rent the property.
Thank you, Deborah. The other question, do you have an ROI mapping across Nairobi? So for example, I'd like to know if I buy a home or apartment in Runda or Kileleshwa, am I clear on potential ROI? I think this should be for Michael.
Yes, George, thank you. Yes, there's many reports published, including Deborah's company, Knight Frank, and some of this information is there. So from what I know in terms of returns in real estate in Kenya and this blue zone area where our members today are particularly interested in, yes, there is a good ROI in property investment, but is from property to property sort of scenario. So most of the properties around Gigiri and Runda are paid in USD, which as I explained earlier when we started this discussion, is a very stable currency that is also used by the UN for their mortgages and all that. So there's a reliable ROI and stable ROI that you can work out when you're getting a property. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. There's another question. Can you provide a breakdown of what closing costs look like when buying an apartment or a home? Earlier in this session, Caroline went through them, but I'll just mention them briefly. You should budget for about 8% of the purchase price when you're buying a house in Nairobi and the 3 counties that border. Highest cost is stamp duty, 4%. UNFC will charge you a processing fee of 1%. And this coincidentally, all the people who will charge you any fees are in this session. So Monica will charge you about 1.5% in legal fees for the registration of that property as UNFU security. Michael Otieno's fees are guided by the Valuers Act of Kenya, so it is scaled, but simply valuation fees is 1% on the first 5 million Kenya shillings and 0.25% on the residual balance. Then Marianne will ask you to pay for 2 covers for the house, approximately 0.2% of the value of the house per year, and 0.4% of the loan balance that you borrow per year. So that's a short breakdown of the costs. Another question, does the UNFCU give mortgages on buying land? Unfortunately, we are not yet there. We are yet to start financing land purchase at the moment, but you can still use the international property loan, which can allow for the purchase of land in Kenya or anywhere else in the world, apart from the US. Then another question is, foreigners buying property in Kenya, I learned there is ownership timeline of 99 years. Is that renewable? And what is the process and cost? That would be for Monica.
Thank you for that question. So yes, you're correct. Foreigners are not allowed to acquire freehold property, so which means they can only acquire leasehold property, which is mostly 99 years. Is this renewable? Yes, it's renewable. There are steps involved in renewing where the county, the relevant county is involved, either the Nairobi County or Kiambu County, and you make an application for this renewal. So I can't really comment on the cost right now because these are not things that we really know. The first quotes you'll pay to the county as you make the application, and they also change depending with the location of the property. But it depends with where you are. For some areas, it's very costly, and for some, it's reasonable. I hope I've answered that question. Thank you.
That is very well put. And it looks like a lot of our members have questions for you, Monica. So I think one of the most challenging parts to navigate is the legal part. So this question is from a member who's asking, how do you handle a situation where the original owner of the property I want to purchase has lost the title deed?
Yes, this can be resolved and you can buy this property. However, before you buy the property, the owner must have, we call it a reconstruction process. So it means they have to go back to the government, because the government issued the title, and apply for reconstruction. This process takes between 3 months to 4 months. The reason being there's a mandatory period that we call the gazettement period, where this property must be gazetted for 2 months. So there are steps involved. You must report the title as missing to the police and get a police abstract. You must get a search from the government showing that the title is still in your name, sign some affidavits, and indemnify the government that they'll not suffer any loss by reconstructing this title. You must get a letter from the chief confirming that you lost the title, and then now apply for the gazettement. So I think to answer the question in a simple way, yes, there are steps to reconstruct, and after that, now you just do due diligence and proceed to buy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's an interesting question over here, and I know out of 1, 2, 3, 4 panelists, 4 would want to say they would be the first. So a member is asking, out of the 4 panelists, who should I see first? So this is very interesting. I know the last person you should be seeing is Marianne. That I'm very sure, because at this point you've decided, you've acquired the property and it's time to insure it. I'd say this. It's important for you to budget before you go out to purchase. So if you have cash, and you do not need any financing from UNFCU, then Deborah, as the real estate agent, would be the first person to see. Then it will be followed by Michael. Michael would do some due diligence for you, assess the value and tell you if you're getting value for your money. Then Monica will now start doing the legal paperwork. But you'll find that members meet different professionals at different times. So you find that members have already met Deborah. Perhaps your colleague bought a property somewhere. You know that you qualify because they qualify. So by the time you come, you've already seen Deborah. But just to be clear, it would be best to start with the mortgage department, Kenya Mortgage, because it is the amount that you're eligible for, plus the amount that you have as savings combined that you can afford to buy a house. So with that, you can go to Deborah, with confidence and tell them that I'm looking for a property, let's say for $200,000, $300,000. Does anyone else have a point to add on that?
Yes. I would like to mention the second part of the question they asked, is there a fee associated? For us as Knight Frank, there is no fee associated in searching, finding, or taking you to sites to view the property.
Thank you, Deborah. Now, I think this is for you again, Deborah. How would you describe the real estate market in Kenya? Is it a buyer's or a seller's market?
So I would describe the current market as a buyer's market. If you have money to buy, you have a lot of options. For example, if you're working with 100,000 US dollars, you can either buy in Nairobi County, Kiambu County, Kajiado County, Machakos County. You can even buy at the coastal area as well. So I would say it is a buyer's market.
We still have some time, so if you have any other questions, you can still submit them. Now, there's another question. What should a property inspector, what should a proper property inspection include? And I think this should be for Michael. I believe the member is asking when they visit the house. Now, Deborah is most likely trying to sell, but now they've identified a house and they've narrowed down to 2 or 3 houses. What are the things they should look out for in the individual houses before they make a decision?
Thank you, George. That's a proper tongue twister. It's a proper property inspection. Yes. So I'd say what we look at is cracks and flooding when it's raining. I usually tell my clients that the best time to buy in Nairobi is when it's raining, the rainy season. So if there are any leakages on the roof and if there are any cracks, we note that. Unfortunately, again, we are not trained structural engineers, but we can give recommendations. So we advise the union if we notice that there's any dampness in terms of the walls and the floors. And I really recommend most of the properties in the blue zone area really well looked after. So we rarely have some of these problems. Yeah. So a proper inspection includes we just look at cracks and if there are any leakages, and also from outside if there's any land movement in terms of any property that is within the riparian area, and how many meters also they are from the riparian area. So we are more of physical inspectors, and then when it comes to structural, we are not very technical. So in terms of, we can give recommendations and then we can bring in the right people. So for the land, we can bring in a land surveyor, and then for the building, you can recommend a structural surveyor and a quantity surveyor. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. There's another question. I believe this should be for Monica. It reminds me of one of the questions I'd wanted to ask her. She can combine these 2 questions. So how will government policies affect home ownership in the next few years? So if you know any policies that may affect housing in the next few years, and in addition, could you maybe just let the members know what Adisasa is, because they're likely to come across this if they start the process of purchasing a house?
Thank you, George. Let me start with the second question. What is Adisasa? So to simplify that term, I know sounds complicated, but it's just a Swahili. It's coined from 2 Swahili words. Ati means land, Sasa means now. So it just means land now. But I think it was cooler to call the platform Adisasa than land now. So this is an online platform that came in around 2021 in an attempt to automate land transactions in Kenya. So once again, we are still in transition. We are trying to move from the manual process to in Nairobi, but even in Nairobi, we are still in transition also. So Adisasa was set up to allow land transactions to happen online in this system. And I spoke about conversion earlier. This is how old titles are being converted through going through this system, getting new numbers, and you can now transact on them. So it's very important for your members to know about this system because it affects everyone. Currently, another function that has been moved to this system is payment of stamp duty. Every time you're trying to generate an invoice for payment of stamp duty, and we've talked about stamp duty, it's payable by everyone, you need to use this system. And for you to use this system, you need something that's called an Adisasa ID. How do you get an Adisasa ID? You get an Adisasa ID by registering in the system. For Kenyans, it's pretty straightforward. If you Google right now, individual registration on Adisasa, it's a step-by-step process. Put in your your Kenya national ID, everything else just flows. For non-Kenyans, it's still possible, but you have to use a back-end process. They are really trying to, I think, update passports so you're able to use a valid passport, but we are not there yet. If you Google Adisasa, there's a chat box that pops at the end. You just need to send a message. They're very responsive. Tell them you're a foreigner. I want to register. They'll give you the requirements and what to submit. You can use your lawyer to help you with this, but it takes a few days and you are in the system. So in the next few years, I believe every person who's buying property in Kenya, all transactions will be done on Ardhi Sasa. Like I said, Nairobi is on. They're moving to Kiambu. They'll move to Kajiado soon. So it's a system that everyone will interact with at some point. It's a very, very user-friendly system. That's how it was set up. Very easy for everyone to interact with. It's made our land systems very, very efficient and accessible. So I think everyone in this panel can agree it was a good move and it's really helped us. So the second question was, how will government housing policies affect home ownership in the next few years? I believe they're talking about the affordable housing thing that's happening by the government. So I don't know how this would really affect your members because it's an affordable housing scheme that's meant to settle people of a certain income, to settle them down. So they're very small houses, and I don't know whether anyone else can comment on this, that are just coming up to settle people of lower income. So I don't see this really affecting your members. And I don't think the government is willing to move this scheme to high-end areas or to finance bigger houses. So they're just doing very small houses for small income people. Thank you. I hope I answered that.
Thank you very much. I think
George,
that's
can I
well put.
Unfortunately,
Deborah, we've run out of time. It's really sad to say that because I've really enjoyed this session. I've learned a lot myself. I believe the members also have learned a lot. To those whose questions we are not able to answer, we apologize, but we're always open to your questions. You can visit us in our offices, you can book an appointment with us, you can send us an email, or you can give us a call. I believe at the end of the session, Rab will provide us with those details. I'd like to thank my panelists for the time that they spared out of their very busy schedules to speak to our members and to provide the guidance that they have. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. And I wish to see you soon. I hope that your home ownership journey is smooth and that we are part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our panelists for all that insightful discussion. We truly appreciate the expertise and the knowledge shared. Before we wrap it up, a huge thank you to our speakers today, Caroline, Jesse, George, Deborah, Michael, Monica, and Marianne. And to our audience here in Kenya, we say, Asante sana. Thank you for making this session as interactive as possible. If you'd like to rewatch this session, a recording will be available in the coming days on our website. You can even tell a member who you know will benefit from this session, and we'll also share it through your email. You're also invited to visit our home buying page at unsu.org/Kenya Mortgages to learn more about your options. Our mortgage representatives are always here to help you and address any questions that you may have. You can find our contact on the Kenya Mortgage page or by scanning the QR code on this slide, and we'll be happy to connect and we'll be happy to take you through your home buying process. With that, thank you once again for attending. Have the rest of your day blessed.